It was a rainy night in the big city. Jacob, a homeless man, sat curled up under a piece of cardboard to stay dry. He lived alone on the streets, with only his memories and a few old belongings. Little did he know, tonight would change his life forever. Not far away, in a fancy neighborhood with bright streetlights, lived a boy named Ethan Kensington. Ethan was the only child of a very rich family. He was playing in his large backyard, his laughter mixing with the sound of the rain. But as he played, danger was lurking close. A dark van drove slowly down the street. Two men got out, sneaking into the Kensington's yard. Before anyone knew what was happening, they grabbed Ethan and took him away, leaving behind his toys and his parents' heartbreak. Later that night, the van stopped in the alley where Jacob was trying to sleep. The men struggled with the scared boy, their angry voices breaking the silence. Jacob woke up, sensing something was wrong. Without thinking twice, he jumped up to help. He fought the men bravely, managing to grab Ethan and scare the kidnappers away. Finally, the bad guys ran off scared, leaving Jacob and the boy alone in the rain. Jacob knelt down next to the boy, who was shaking and crying. He put a hand on the boy's shoulder, trying to comfort him. After a few minutes, as the rain stopped, Jacob helped Ethan up from where they sat in the alley. "Where do your parents live, Ethan?" Jacob asked gently, worry showing on his face. "They live in a big house not far from here," Ethan answered, still sounding scared. Jacob nodded. "Okay, Ethan, let's go find your house," he said, giving Ethan a smile to make him feel better. With Jacob leading the way, they walked through the streets, Ethan telling Jacob which way to go. Even though they didn't know exactly where they were going, they stuck together and kept moving. Finally, they came to a fancy neighborhood with big houses. Ethan pointed to one of them. "That's it, Jacob. That's where I live." Jacob felt relieved as they reached Ethan's house. He watched Ethan run ahead, disappearing through the gates. And as Jacob followed, he knew that their meeting had changed something important for both of them. As they approached the front door, it swung open with a squeak, revealing Ethan's parents standing there, their faces a mix of sadness and desperate hope. When Ethan's parents saw him, their faces changed completely. Relief washed over them, and tears streamed down their cheeks as they hurried to hug him tightly. It was like they thought he might disappear if they let go. Their hugs were strong, almost too tight, but you could feel the love and thankfulness pouring out of them. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Ethan's mom's voice was shaky with emotion, her face wet with tears as she looked at Jacob. Her eyes were full of gratitude, like she couldn't believe someone had come to rescue her son, like he was their guardian angel. As Jacob stood there, witnessing the raw display of emotion before him, he couldn't help but feel a stirring deep within his chest. A lump formed in his throat, and he blinked back the moisture that threatened to spill from his own eyes. It had been so long since he had been enveloped in such genuine warmth, so long since he had been on the receiving end of such heartfelt gratitude. As Ethan's mother expressed her thanks, her voice trembling with emotion, Jacob felt a wave of humility wash over him. He had never imagined himself as anyone's savior, yet here he was, being thanked as if he had performed a miracle. The weight of her gratitude settled on his shoulders, grounding him in the reality of the moment. "I'm just glad he's safe," Jacob managed to say, his voice soft but filled with genuine sincerity. He exchanged a glance with Ethan, silently acknowledging the bond that had formed between them in the midst of adversity. It was a bond forged in shared experiences and unspoken understanding, a bond that transcended words. Ethan's father stepped forward, his voice trembling with emotion as he extended a shaky hand towards Jacob. "Please come inside. Let us thank you properly," he implored, his eyes reflecting a mixture of relief, gratitude, and an underlying sense of awe at the stranger who had brought their son back to them. Jacob hesitated for a moment, overwhelmed by the depth of their gratitude. But then he nodded, his heart urging him to accept the invitation and step into the warmth of their home, both literally and figuratively. Inside, the air was heavy with emotion, but it was also filled with a feeling of relief and gratitude that you could almost touch. They gave Jacob dry clothes and a warm meal, showing their gratitude in a way he could feel. As they gathered around the table, swapping stories and chatting, it was like a weight had been lifted off Jacob's shoulders. He felt connected to them in a way he hadn't felt in a long time, like he belonged. The family listened intently, their eyes shining with empathy and understanding as Jacob shared experiences of his own life. His voice sounded fragile as he talked, like he was revealing parts of himself he usually kept hidden. It was as if he was slowly opening up his heart, letting them see the real him behind the walls he usually put up. In that moment, sitting by the cozy fireplace and surrounded by friendly company, Jacob knew he had found something special. It wasn't just a brief connection. It felt like he had found a family. They were linked by love, by the pain of loss, and by the strong ties of human kindness that couldn't be broken. That night, as Jacob left to return to his spot in the city, Ethan ran up to him. "Jacob, will I see you again?" Jacob smiled, feeling a lump in his throat. "Of course, Ethan. We'll see each other again." After that day, Jacob and Ethan's lives changed forever. Jacob finally found a purpose in his life. The Kensington family, grateful for his bravery, offered him a job as a caretaker for their property. It was a simple job, but for Jacob, it was a fresh start. He worked hard, saving his money and slowly rebuilding his life. The Kensingtons treated him like family, and for the first time in years, Jacob felt a sense of belonging. He found a small apartment nearby and even adopted a stray dog, creating a little family of his own. Jacob's days were filled with work, companionship, and the warmth of knowing he was no longer alone. On the other hand, Ethan's view of the world had also shifted dramatically. Inspired by Jacob's courage, he decided he wanted to be a hero, too. He started small, helping his classmates with their homework and standing up to bullies at school. Ethan's kindness didn't stop at school. He began carrying extra snacks in his backpack to feed the hungry cats he saw on the streets. He even organized a small group of friends to volunteer at local shelters and community events. But Ethan's biggest dream was to prevent other children from experiencing the terror he had faced. He spoke to his parents about his goal to end kidnapping forever. Together, they started a foundation to raise awareness about child safety and support families affected by such tragedies. Ethan would often speak at schools and community centers, sharing his story and teaching kids how to stay safe. As the years passed, Jacob and Ethan continued to inspire each other. Jacob, seeing the impact Ethan was making, felt proud of the boy he had once saved. Ethan, in turn, never forgot that it was Jacob's bravery that had sparked his journey toward becoming a hero. Their bond grew stronger, rooted in the shared experience that had changed their lives forever. Through their efforts, both Jacob and Ethan showed that even the darkest moments could lead to brighter futures. Jacob's life of hardship transformed into one of stability and purpose, while Ethan's dream of making the world a safer place for children began to take shape. Together, they proved that acts of kindness and bravery, no matter how small, could create ripples of change that spread far and wide. 20 years later, Ethan had grown into a determined and passionate man, committed to his mission of protecting children. He had pursued a degree in criminology and law, equipping himself with the knowledge and skills needed to fight against child abduction. After gaining valuable experience working with various child protection agencies and building a network of like-minded individuals, Ethan was ready to take the next big step in his journey. He founded a company called Safe Haven, dedicated to preventing child abduction and rescuing kidnapped children. Safe Haven was not just an organization, it was a movement. It aimed to create a world where every child could feel safe and protected. The company provided resources and support to families, offered educational programs on child safety, and worked closely with law enforcement agencies to track and rescue missing children. When it came to finding the right person to lead Safe Haven, Ethan knew there was only one choice: Jacob. Jacob had been a guiding force in his life, and Ethan wanted to honor the man who had saved him all those years ago. With a mixture of excitement and nervousness, Ethan approached Jacob with the proposal. "Jacob," Ethan began, sitting across from him in the cozy living room of Jacob's apartment. "I want you to be the boss of Safe Haven. You've been my hero, my inspiration, and I can't think of anyone better to lead this company." Jacob, now in his 60s, looked at Ethan with pride and gratitude. The years had added more lines to his face, but his spirit was as strong as ever. "Ethan, it's an honor. I never imagined my life would lead me here. But if I can help protect even one child from what you went through, then I will gladly take on this role." Under Jacob's leadership, Safe Haven flourished. Jacob's empathy, wisdom, and first-hand experience with hardship made him the perfect leader. He understood the pain and fear that came with losing a child, and he poured his heart into making Safe Haven a beacon of hope. He worked tirelessly, coordinating rescue operations, providing support to families, and ensuring that the organization remained true to its mission. Ethan, as the founder, continued to drive the vision of Safe Haven. He traveled across the country, speaking at conferences, schools, and community centers. He partnered with tech companies to develop innovative tools for tracking and rescuing missing children. He lobbied for stronger child protection laws and worked with international organizations to combat child trafficking. The partnership between Jacob and Ethan became legendary. Together, they built a team of dedicated professionals, from social workers and counselors to tech experts and former law enforcement officers. Safe Haven became a symbol of hope and resilience, saving countless children and reuniting families torn apart by abduction. As the years went by, Safe Haven expanded its reach. It established branches in multiple countries, spreading its message of safety and protection worldwide. The company developed cutting-edge technology to aid in the search for missing children, including a mobile app that allowed parents to instantly alert authorities if their child went missing. Jacob and Ethan's bond grew even stronger through their shared mission. They celebrated each success together and supported each other through the challenges. Jacob often reflected on the night he saved Ethan, marveling at how that single act of bravery had led to a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. Ethan never forgot the lessons he learned from Jacob. He continued to be inspired by Jacob's resilience and kindness, striving to embody those qualities in his own life. Together, they proved that even in the face of darkness, love and determination could light the way. One morning, as Ethan arrived at the office, he noticed Jacob's chair empty. It wasn't unusual for Jacob to be out on early morning errands or visiting families in need, but as the day went on and Jacob didn't appear, a strange feeling gnawed at Ethan's mind. He decided to check on him, hoping everything was all right. When Ethan reached Jacob's apartment, he found the door slightly ajar. His heart pounded as he stepped inside, calling out for his friend. There, in the quiet of his modest living room, Ethan found Jacob lying peacefully on his couch, a soft smile on his face, as if he had been dreaming of something beautiful. It was clear that Jacob had left this world in his sleep. Ethan's worst fears were realized as he stood frozen in shock, his breath caught in his throat. Time seemed to stand still as he gazed upon Jacob's peaceful form on the couch, the realization of his mentor and friend's passing sinking in like an anchor weighing heavily on his heart. Every fiber of his being rebelled against the truth, unable to accept that the guiding light in his life had been extinguished. The news of Jacob's passing rippled through the community like a silent shockwave, leaving behind a trail of sorrow and disbelief. Families whom Jacob had touched with his kindness and unwavering support mourned the loss of their friend and guardian angel. They remembered Jacob's gentle words of encouragement, his reassuring presence during their darkest moments, and the hope he had instilled in them. For many, Jacob had been the steadfast beacon that guided them through storms, and his absence left an irreplaceable void in their lives. At Jacob's funeral, Ethan stood before the gathered mourners, his voice trembling with emotion as he recounted the story of their extraordinary friendship. He spoke of Jacob's selflessness, his boundless courage, and his unyielding dedication to protecting the innocence of children. Tears welled in Ethan's eyes as he looked out at the tear-streaked faces of those gathered, each one a testament to the profound impact Jacob had made on their lives. As Ethan grappled with the loss of his dear friend, his family felt the impact deeply. His wife, Sarah, had come to admire Jacob's resilience and kindness over the years, seeing in him a mentor and role model for Ethan. Jacob's passing left a palpable void in their lives, a sense of loss that seemed insurmountable. Emily and Daniel, Ethan's children, had also forged a deep bond with Jacob. To them, he was more than just a family friend. He was a grandfather figure, a source of wisdom and comfort. They struggled to comprehend the finality of Jacob's absence, grappling with the harsh reality that their beloved friend would no longer be there to greet them with a warm smile and a playful joke. At home, the atmosphere was heavy with grief, each corner of their once lively abode now shrouded in sorrow. Sarah and the children did their best to support Ethan, offering him solace and understanding as he navigated the turbulent waters of grief. They listened as he shared stories of Jacob, reminiscing about their shared adventures and the countless lives he had touched along the way. In the midst of their sorrow, the family found solace in the memories they had shared with Jacob, clinging to them like lifelines in a sea of despair. And though the pain of his loss would never truly fade, they took comfort in the knowledge that Jacob's legacy would live on in the hearts of all who had been touched by his boundless compassion and unwavering courage. One day, as Ethan was sorting through Jacob's few personal belongings in his apartment, he came across an old, faded photograph tucked away in a corner. The picture presented a happy family, a radiant woman with a warm smile, alongside two young children who expressed innocence and joy. Ethan's curiosity piqued, and he reached for the photograph with shaking hands, his heart pounding with anticipation. As he held the photograph, memories of Jacob's unwavering kindness and generosity flooded Ethan's mind. Jacob had been like a father figure to him, guiding him through life's challenges and inspiring him to make a difference in the world. But behind Jacob's warm attitude lay a painful past, a secret that Ethan was about to uncover. Tucked behind the photograph, Ethan discovered a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age and carefully folded. With trembling hands, he unfolded the letter, revealing Jacob's handwriting scrawled across the page. As Ethan began to read, his breath caught in his throat, and shock rippled through him like a bolt of lightning. The letter revealed the dark truth. Jacob's wife and children were taken away from him by a sad and unexpected event. Their lives were broken by the unkindness of someone taking them away. Ethan felt dizzy and sad as he tried to understand how much Jacob had lost. In that moment, Ethan felt a profound sense of empathy wash over him, mixed with a deep admiration for Jacob's strength and resilience, despite the unimaginable pain he had experienced. Jacob had dedicated his life to helping others, to saving children like Ethan from the same fate that happened to his own family. With tears in his eyes, Ethan folded the letter and carefully placed it back where he had found it, knowing that Jacob's memory would always be remembered in the hearts of all who had been touched by his kindness and courage. And as Ethan sat alone in Jacob's apartment, surrounded by the echoes of a life that had been defined by loss and resilience, he promised to honor his friend's memory in the only way he knew how, by dedicating himself to the mission of protecting children and families from the horrors of abduction. With newfound determination burning in his heart, Ethan knew he had to honor Jacob's memory in a way that would make a lasting impact. Inspired by Jacob's selflessness and courage, Ethan decided to rename Safe Haven in his friend's honor. It would now be called Jacob's Shield, a recognition to the man who had been a protector and savior to so many. As Ethan shared the news with the team at Jacob's Shield, there was a collective sense of reverence and respect for their fallen leader. They knew that Jacob's spirit would live on in the work they continued to do, and they were determined to carry forward his legacy with the same warm dedication and passion. But Ethan didn't stop there. Driven by his desire to ensure that Jacob's story would never be forgotten, he began writing a book about his friend's extraordinary life. With every word he penned, Ethan poured his heart and soul into picturing the essence of Jacob, the man who had faced unimaginable loss with grace and courage, and who had dedicated his life to saving others. The book, titled Jacob's Legacy, became an instant bestseller, touching the hearts of readers around the world with its powerful message of love, resilience, and hope. Through Ethan's words, Jacob's story reached far beyond the walls of Jacob's Shield, inspiring countless individuals to stand up against injustice and make a difference in the lives of others. But for Ethan, the book was more than just a literary success. It was a promise fulfilled. A promise to Jacob that his legacy would live on, not just in the memories of those who knew him, but in the hearts of generations to come. With each passing day, Ethan redoubled his efforts to save people from the horrors of abduction. He traveled the world, speaking at conferences, schools, and community events, sharing Jacob's story and spreading awareness about the importance of child safety. Under Ethan's leadership, Jacob's Shield flourished, its reach expanding far beyond what Jacob had ever imagined. The organization developed cutting-edge technologies and formed partnerships with law enforcement agencies and nonprofit organizations to track down missing children and reunite families torn apart by abduction. And as Jacob's Shield continued to save lives and bring hope to those in need, Ethan knew that Jacob was watching over them, his spirit guiding them every step of the way. Motivated by a strong sense of purpose and a deep desire to honor Jacob's memory, Ethan embarked on a journey to expand the reach of Jacob's Shield to new heights. He reached out to influential people and organizations, forming partnerships to make their mission even stronger. Ethan's efforts paid off as he met with leaders and spoke to audiences worldwide, spreading the message of protecting children from abduction. His words inspired many to join their cause, and Jacob's Shield grew bigger than ever before. Under Ethan's leadership, Jacob's Shield got even better. They used new technology and worked with police and other groups to find missing children and bring them home. Their work touched families everywhere, giving hope to those who thought they had lost everything. But Ethan never forgot why they did what they did: Jacob's memory. He knew Jacob was watching over them, guiding them to help more and more children. As Jacob's Shield continued its work, Ethan traveled far and wide, telling Jacob's story and teaching people about child safety. From big conferences to small community gatherings, Ethan's message spread, encouraging others to stand up for kids' rights. Looking ahead, Ethan knew there was still much to do. With Jacob's spirit driving them forward, Ethan and his team remained committed to protecting children and making the world a safer place for everyone. As long as there were kids in danger, Jacob's Shield would be there to help, ensuring that Jacob's legacy lived on for generations to come. As the movement continues its crucial work, Ethan's life improves a lot every year. His friendship with Jacob becomes a guiding light, inspiring Ethan to continue his passion and energy into safeguarding children from the horrors of abduction. Every day, Ethan's mindset grows stronger and more resilient as he continues his work with Jacob's Shield. Ethan throws himself into the mission of Jacob's Shield, tirelessly advocating for child safety and raising awareness about the dangers facing young people in today's world. Through innovative programs and strategic partnerships, Ethan ensures that Jacob's Shield becomes a beacon of hope for families everywhere. Despite the challenges and obstacles they encounter along the way, Ethan remains steadfast in his commitment to honoring Jacob's memory. He pours his heart and soul into the cause, finding fulfillment and purpose in knowing that their work is making a tangible difference in the lives of vulnerable children. His reputation in the community grows, earning him respect for his unwavering commitment to child safety. People begin to seek out Ethan's expertise and passion, recognizing him as a trusted voice in the fight against child abduction. His advocacy takes him to various platforms, from local gatherings to national conferences, where he shares Jacob's story and inspires others to join the cause. Amidst the hustle and bustle of his advocacy work, Ethan remains grounded by the memory of Jacob, the friend who ignited his journey. Jacob's spirit serves as a constant source of guidance, helping Ethan navigate the challenges and triumphs of his mission. With each step forward, Ethan is reminded of the values they shared: compassion, courage, and the importance of standing up for what's right. In moments of quiet reflection, Ethan finds comfort in knowing that Jacob's legacy lives on through him and the work of Jacob's Shield. Their shared experiences and the bonds they forged give Ethan strength and purpose, driving him to create a world where every child is safe, loved, and protected. As he looks ahead, Ethan is filled with hope for the future. He knows that their efforts will continue to make a meaningful impact for generations to come. With Jacob's memory guiding him, Ethan remains steadfast in his resolve to ensure that no child suffers the same fate that brought them together. And as he continues on his journey, Ethan is filled with optimism, knowing that together they can build a brighter, safer world for all. Finally, I want to end this story with a quote: "Friendship is the guiding light that leads us to make a difference in the world."